There was one Friday where we got hit really hard with people, and my daily sales projection was X. You always have a buffer in there, and I think I'd hit that buffer by 5:30 p.m. and there's queues out the door, and I ran out of food. But we're still taking orders in the kitchen, and I'm working in the kitchen, and I'm frying chicken, right? And I've got 10 people, and the checks keep coming, and I'm like, You got to stop, and we can't make these checks."
Today's guest has put Dubai into quite the pickle. Steve Flawith, CEO and founder of Yolk Brands, has been tantalizing taste buds for 18 years, making his mark here in Dubai in 2019 with the launch of local favorite Pickl, followed by an expansion into Yolk Brands in 2023 with new favorites like BonBird and Southpour. Yolk now operates in 8 countries globally, with Steve to surpass 100 international restaurants in the next couple years, bringing his philosophy of simple meals done well to a global clientele. Hello and welcome to Homegrown DXB, the show taking you inside the lives of the people changing yours right here in Dubai. I'm your host, Amr Bali. And I'm delighted to have with me today Steve Flawith, the CEO and founder of Yolk Brands. Steve, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, you've had, I think, quite a busy 6 years now since you launched, of course, Pickl in 2019, a great success. And then 2023, I believe you expanded to Yolk Brands. You've had Southpour, BonBird, just a lot going on. And you have 50 branches, I think, opening in the UK in the next 5 years, launched into Jordan. First of all, I guess, how do you keep up with all of it? And are you feeling burnt out yet?
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been busy 7 years. I'm never quite sure sometimes, but burnt out. No, no, no. Definitely not burnt out. Definitely not burnt out. I don't. I don't tend to. There has been times across the journey where it has hit, but I think I don't know if I have a higher tolerance, or is it a mental state? But I'm not quite sure. But I don't tend to get burnt out. The way I look at the company today is in the UAE we have 400 odd staff. We call them legends. We have 400 legends that work for us across the network where we franchised into other territories. There's another 400 or 500. So there's 900 legends that essentially work for the brands, but then you have their families added on top of this, where this is now taking us into the thousands, the 2,000-3,000 mark. So those families, they rely on us for the good times, for the housing, the food, the birthday parties, the shopping, the schooling, the education. And when it does get heavy, when it does get busy and hectic, I always think of those people that rely on the decision making that I have to make every single day. So no burnout,
That's
but
just
it's
a lot of
definitely
pressure,
busy.
though, right? It's a lot of,
Pressure.
to have that on your shoulders, and obviously that top of mind, knowing that your success is also their success, right? The stability of your businesses and your initiatives is also their stability, things that they need to put food on the table for their families. I imagine that can't always be easy.
It's not easy, but I don't think anything in life worth having is too easy, is it? But you touched on the right word, and that's pressure. But the beautiful thing about pressure is it's just a to-do list. It's just a to-do list. So when you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it gets too much, just put it onto a to-do list and get it done right. And there is pressure, but just tick it off the list.
I've heard you say that you don't believe in stress. Is that true? More or less?
True, true.
Okay. I mean, I think a lot of people, would aspire to that attitude in life, right? So a lot of people
Yeah.
want to live their life without stress, myself included. But it's always there. It's still there. How do you manage that trick?
Stress is you can't quantify stress, right? You can't rationalize stress. You uh, I still get wound up about things, and things annoy me, but from a stress side, I think that's a route to break down. it can cause you serious health conditions. So back to your point on pressure, that I have that mindset that there isn't stress, there's pressure. So when the stresses come, that is just something you can get out of your head and action accordingly. And that comes to varying degrees. But I try to live with that mindset and to operate with that mindset, that it's, when we talk about burnout and we talk about stress, just come at me, baby. It's just the next thing. Let's go. Let's
Just
go. What's next on the list?
all part of the fun, right?
you know?
Um, so what brought you to Dubai in the first place, Steve?
My it's really honestly, it's an interesting one for me. I first came to Dubai in 1995. My parents moved out here, and I still lived in the UK on the south coast in Dorset. And I used to come out when Dubai was, the trade center and Sheikh Zayed Road, and we lived down in Al Nakheel Villas at the time. And I used to come out Christmas, Easter, summer, and I was the kid in school in the UK that always had that killer suntan that everyone was confused about. But then, so that was always a back and forth. So Dubai's always been there in my heart. And I moved fully to Dubai 10, 11, 12, 11, 12, 12 years ago. 12 years ago.
You fall into that category of people who sort of came and never left, you think? I mean, was your intention to stay here when you
I
came?
always wanted to come, yeah.
Mhm.
I always wanted to come, yeah, definitely.
And what was it, do you think, that attracted you about Dubai? Obviously, the suntan, I imagine the sun was an appeal. But what made you want to move, and what do you think it was about Dubai that sort of helped you launch your business, or made this the right place for something like Pickl to happen?
I mean, to move and to live here, is there anywhere else in the world quite like it? Honestly, you have the beach, you have the mountains, you have the city, you have some of the best food in the world, you have the people, and then you're a central hub to be able to hop in and out the rest of the world and kind of travel fully. So that as a city is just such a great place to live, not to mention the safety. From a business side, I think I believe, from a startup perspective, Dubai's been great because they've always been trying to challenge the status quo, trying to challenge the norm. How can we make it more accessible? How can we make it easier? How can we digitalize? How can we bring in tech? And not a quarter goes by where there's not a new initiative, where you see a lot of countries globally and cities globally regressing in the support of startups or small businesses, SMEs, which dominate markets. I think Dubai always pushes and challenges how they're able to support startups, SMEs within the country. But then from a brand side, I think what I've really loved, I think what I've really loved about starting Pickl and BonBird and Yolk and Southpour here is the region looks to Dubai. So I think when you look at it from this side, you know, Dubai is a brand, and and we always set out not to start restaurants, to set up brands, because brands can live forever, whereas a restaurant can come and go, which is a very sad truth and very sad statistics behind it. But when you align yourself with Pickl and brand Dubai, well, people want to buy that. So as we grew and we were able to export our brand around the world, we're franchised out to different countries. And today we're one of the biggest homegrown concepts that franchise and exports brands around the world. Well, people want to buy from the brand Dubai brand. So I think the city is just an incredible place when you talk in terms of branding and positioning.
And I guess, speaking about those expansions then into other markets, I mean, you just announced Jordan very recently.
Yes,
Congratulations on that.
thank you.
UK, I think is it 8 countries that you guys are in or expanding to?
We are in 8. We have to open. Always have to go back and count. We have to
Like,
open.
it's a good problem to have. Too many countries, right?
Let's go, right?
Yeah.
So we're in the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi, Oman, Pakistan, Egypt, open and operating today. We are currently opening in Jordan, Kuwait, and the UK, so 3 more coming online. So we're coming up to 10, 11 by Jan, Feb next year. We have around 45 restaurants in our portfolio today, both locally and in our franchise network, which by the end of next year we're taking to around 100
which
odd
is, I think, very impressive.
marks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, well done. I mean, how do those, I guess, partnerships, franchises come about then? How do you identify which markets to look at next? How do you find the right partners for each of those markets? How has that sort of expansion happened for you?
It's hard, right? When you're going into other markets, you partner with someone, that relationship is there to last a lifetime. So you need to date before, you're essentially getting married in many ways, but you need to find the right partner to grow the business with, and you both have to align. And we've turned down more people from territories than we've ever found. But to do that, you also have due care, and you have due care to your partners to make sure they are success within their region. So, if we'd done it once, could have been luck, but the fact that we've done it in our local market, but then 7+ today, is we've put together this formula. And that wasn't a go to market, sign a territory, open. That took us a good year of building the operation and kind of looking at every single bend, reach, and stretch within the kitchens to make sure the operation is bulletproof, getting the staff training up to point, getting the manuals up to point, getting the build books of how to build a pickle, how to build a BonBird, proving the marketing concepts. And when we go into a territory, we launch it as our own territory. The teams come over to the UAE. They train with us here for 4 or 5 weeks. Then when we go into the market to launch with them, our training team of 8+ people go into that market as well. I always go to every market to launch it. I love it. And they're on the ground with them up to 3 months, training their teams and teaching them the excellence behind operation. And slowly we'll step away. Slowly we'll step away from the marketing, step away from the operation, and kind of take the training wheels off and let them cycle that bike. But we're always there as a kind of partner, a consultant, to make sure they're geared up for success in every market.
So I want to maybe take a step back here. You're clearly someone who I think really enjoys what you do. You're very passionate about what you do. Um, so I want to, I guess, ask where that comes from. I think you had what, about 2 decades now of experience in the space in F&B and
Yeah.
hospitality. Not to age you, uh, but is this always like a lifelong passion? Did you always imagine yourself opening a restaurant, a burger joint, a fried chicken joint in
No.
particular?
No.
Uh, so yeah. So where did that come from? What did you think you were gonna do when you were young, I guess?
I wanted to be an architect. Honestly, I wanted to be an architect. Um, I didn't want to own a restaurant. Growing up, I started out chefing. Well, I started out washing pots and then went into chefing, and then
And why did you start out washing pots? Like how did that first job happen?
I needed a part-time job and kind of skateboarded into one of the local restaurants in the New Forest in the UK and asked for a job. And the kind of maitre d' looked at me, it's a Spanish guy, and he was like, "No, no, like what are you doing? You can't. Your long hair and your cap and your skateboard, you can't." And I was like, "Come on, man, I need a job." And he was like, "Wait." So then the head chef came out and he was like, "You want to wash pots?" And I was like, "I'll wash pots." So started scrubbing the dishes. And then after a couple of weeks, chef was like, "You want to wash pots for the rest of your life, or do you want to be a chef?" And I was like, "I can cook. Let's do this."
Could you cook at the time?
I could. I have my mum to thank for that. I could not to this level, by the way, not to that level, but no. I could hold my own in the kitchen. Um, but at that point, over those years of working in hospitality and learning each sector within the business, both chefing, front of house, whatever that was, I saw so many of my friends suffer in hospitality and and
Suffer
lose
how?
lose putting their life savings into restaurants that weren't working, weren't right. And when you go into the statistics, they're stacked against you, right? It's a tough industry. And then when it came to it, I was like, no, no, I'm ready for this.
And what was that moment then for you? When do you think you went from, okay, I'm doing this as a part-time job, I'm doing this because this is I've been working here and this is a natural progression to being like, this is a passion. This is actually really what I want to focus all my attention and effort towards.
Hospitality was from day one. I loved it. I love the interaction with people. I loved being on feet. I loved the creativity behind it. Um, to opening my own restaurant with my partner Nabil was 7 years ago, and it was just being here and understanding that market and that potential, and being like, now's the time, now's the time to make it.
And so I guess, what was the moment that made you decide that I'm going to do pickle specifically? Well, maybe not pickle specifically, because I believe you had a few iterations on restaurant ideas before you came to the idea of pickle,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But when did that start? I guess cooking up in your mind, for lack of a better phrase.
I went to Hong Kong early 2018,
Okay.
and Pickl was in the making. So we opened April 2019. We opened Pickl, and it was a year in the making before design, build, all of this kind of stuff. And I went over to Hong Kong. And I ate in, I think it was 8 restaurants a day for 6 days. And I came back and I was like, I want to do a Japanese izakaya.
Why Japanese?
It was just when I was in Hong Kong, it was just that at that time, seeing cramped small spaces with big sharing tables, yakitori vibes coming over from Japan, and some really exceptional chefs with these cool concepts. It was like, how can we bring a taste of this to Dubai? And I kind of came back, and me and Nabil were chatting about it, and he was like, but I think we should do something we can scale. And I was like, okay, yeah, fair, you can't this you can't scale. Uh, so then it was more of a kind of a processed approach of, okay, well, let's look into every market. Let's look into every kind of cuisine type. Let's look into coffee is saturated. Let's look into burgers is saturated. Let's look into Lebanese is saturated. Greek, everything was saturated at the time. And it was like, well, when we look into burgers, a lot of the competitors are using frozen products. But I think you went to university in the States, right? And
I did, yeah.
it was like that cool stateside where they make the pickles, they make, the beef's being ground back a house and they're brining the chicken. It was like, well, could we take burgers to this position of fresh fast food where we have a simple offering of, this is your cheeseburger, let's bespoke that, this is your chicken, let's have different heat levels on chicken, but when we get those chilies in, we're going to dry them out for 72 hours. We're going to blend those down, so you've got 12 different chili profiles coming across each one. And then how can we get that vegetarian one as well, and how can we have that simple trifecta kind of menu offering, which is fresh fast food, hormone free, antibiotic free. And then that was what was really exciting. And it was like, cool, so how can we take fresh fast food, but how can we cook that to order, industrialize that kitchen so it is just a beautiful flow, and every ticket that comes in, cook it to order, and just give people the best food we possibly can.
So once that, I guess, light bulb moment happened, what then went into all the preparation leading up to launch in April 2019, and maybe what were some of the unexpected bumps along the way, both leading up to launch and maybe in those first few months? I imagine there must have
Yeah,
been some, right?
so many. I'm trying to pick one. So yeah, the bumps. You know what the bumps we actually call these mistakes. We call them love letters within the company today. That
Okay.
everyone learns, right? You learn from
Do you
mistakes,
keep a
and
record of your love
we
letters?
try not to, but we always make sure we don't make the same mistakes twice. But kind of running up to it, 2018, I was a one-man show at the time. Um, had to get the branding done. Found an amazing agency in the UK that we still work with today to get our branding done. And they weren't the cheapest, they weren't the most expensive, but they were like, we're going to keep doing this till we get it right. You're not going to have 2, 3 iterations. We're going to keep doing this until we get it right. Worked on the interiors. I built the first one myself, project managed it.
So you did get to be an architect.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess we're still doing that around the world, right?
Yeah.
And everything, setting up the supply chain. When we opened the first Pickl, I was the restaurant manager, I was the PRO, I was the HR, I was the accountant, I was the trainer. I was cooking in the kitchen every single day I was grinding the beef and prepping the chicken and making the pickles and making the sauces and drying the chilies. And
How many employees did you have at this time?
I started with 10. I needed 20. For that volume the restaurant was doing, today we would have around 25. With the manager and assistant managers in that head count, we'd have around 25. And I had 10. So I had to scramble. But 5 weeks out before opening, I forgot one fundamental thing, and that was I needed to hire people. I didn't have anyone. I was so busy in the build and setting up everything that I didn't have any people. So I went out on, I think it was Dubizzle, and I set up a job ad, and I had like 20,000 applications. So I kind of just spread it out to everyone, being like, give me a 20-second video of XYZ. That cut it down to like 1,000. And then watched all of these videos and then kind of held a recruitment day in a coffee shop. And I think 40 people came. And out of that 40, I hired 10. Now, of those 10 that joined me in 2019, 2 people have left. They've immigrated to Canada. And the other 8 people are still in the company today. And we've trained them over the years, and we brought them up, and they're in management positions, international positions, training positions within the group. But when I started, the biggest challenge was just the overwhelming workload. You always know it's going to be hard when you start your own company, but you are never prepared for that. And there was one Friday where we got hit really hard with people, and my daily sales projection was X. You always have a buffer in there, and I think I'd hit that buffer by 5:30 p.m. and there's queues out the door, and I ran out of food. But we're still taking orders in the kitchen, and I'm working in the kitchen, and I'm frying chicken, right? And I've got 10 people, and the checks keep coming, and I'm like, you got to stop, and we can't make these checks. So I had to go outside, and I had no idea how to do a refund on the POS at the time. And I had to kind of write IOUs to people, and they would take selfies with me on blind trust and be like, guys, come back in a couple. I'm so sorry, we've run out of food. This is 5:30 going on 6 now. We locked the
How long
doors.
into your first year was this?
This was like 5, 6 weeks, right? And we had people trying to break down the doors. Like, we shut the doors, people finished their food, they left. The IOUs are all written, and I put these kind of handwritten posters that we've sold out. I'm sorry. And all night there's people coming, and I sent the staff home about 7, and I cleaned the fryers, and I cleaned the grills, and I called every supplier I could, and I called in every favor I could. And I put the tables and chairs up, and I swept the floors, and I mopped the floors, and all my staff had gone, and I turned the lights off, and there's still people trying to get in, trying to get in, trying to get in. And I went out the back of the restaurant, and I just collapsed by the tire of my car, and I just started crying, and I was like, I can't do this. I was like, I've bitten off more than I can chew. Like, cool, I've done this for, at that point, what, 14 years or so. I was like, I cannot do this. And I called my partner, Nabil, and I was like, man, this happened. And he's like, suck it up, brother. Go home, get some sleep, wake up early. You got this, all right? You got this. You're the best at this. You got this. So I went home, woke up at 4 a.m. I told the team, don't come in. Just don't come in till 6. We'll open at 6 today. And I went in, and I had cucumbers come in, onions come in, I had the beef come in, I had the chicken come in, and I prepped 150 kilos of cucumber pickles myself. I prepped 100 kilos of onion pickles. I prepped 100 kilos of chili pickles, and that hurts. Like, my fingers would burn for 3, 4 days prepping the chili pickles where you're cutting them, and even with 2 pairs of gloves, it goes through.
I mean, is this like a meditative experience for you?
No, that was abusive. And then I trimmed the beef, I ground all the beef, I boiled it, I brined the chicken into a quick brine, I got it out, I packed it dry, and I got ready, and we readjusted all of the stock levels, and we will never run out of stock ever again. And we never ran out of stock ever again. But that was, yeah, that was hard.
So when did the I guess the transition? Because now if I think about Pickl or BonBird or obviously Yolk Brands in general, like I think of a company which is international, which is in multiple territories. As you said, up to 100 branches potentially very very soon, right? Um, when did that transition happen, where you went from being sort of the scrappy, new entrepreneurial business where you're, frying everything up and cutting the peppers yourself, to having, yeah, this many branches, this many territories. Maybe not the where we are today, but like, when did you feel like, oh, okay, we can expand now, we can hire, we can have multiple branches, I can handle multiple branches, maybe even handle a new country?
So no business plan's ever failed on a spreadsheet, right? You can make it say what you want it to say. And like you were mentioning with your film, I like to dig out the first ever business model I did and kind of cringe when I look at it. But I think you should always be
What was the
adaptable.
first business model you did, or what
It
were
was
the
awful.
projections?
It was awful. It was like 300,000 dirhams a month. And then after year one, we can open the second store. And then after year two, we can open another
Optimistic. That's
one.
nice.
We're going to do it this way, like one store at a time. Um, we're doing 3.5x that in 6 weeks. And it was like, okay, cool. Now we've got to hire more staff. Now we've got to pivot. Okay. Well, now we've got to launch delivery. All right, cool. What's next? And this is what I mean about pressure and stress. It's just a to-do
And at
list,
no
right?
point you felt stressed during this period?
Overwhelmed.
Oh, just as long as you
Overwhelmed.
don't use the word stress. Pressure, overwhelmed, not
Overwhelmed.
stressed. Okay.
Overwhelmed. And and then there was an opportunity to kind of expand into a couple of Deliveroo kitchens at the time. We went exclusive with Deliveroo. And then COVID hit. And it was kind of this position that, well, now's the time to expand, right? We're going to get through this. Historically, let's look at it. Got a year max. So we started out 2020 with it's like 25 people and one restaurant, I think. By the end of that year, we had 135 and 6 restaurants. And during
And
that
physical
time,
locations were doing well in 2020. I imagine delivery was a big growth
delivery was
space.
was really big, and during the kind of H1 period, we signed and built physical locations, and then we flipped our delivery stores towards the end of the year to brick and mortar locations as the market opened again. And then we started kind of assembling, what would you say, like the Avengers of the F&B world,
They're legends, right?
that
So yeah.
that that A team. And it was with that mindset of, okay, cool, we want to take this international, but we got to get our house in order first. So we went and brought in some really amazing talent into the team, started building out COO, chief commercial officer, ops directors, supply chain directors, marketing directors, and we started building out, a heavy head office function, but in preparedness for that expansion, so that when we did expand, we could hit the ground running. And then as part of that, we saw the opportunity of BonBird, to answer your original question, along the way, which was again we kind
So
of
when did you start thinking about BonBird?
I started thinking about BonBird. We started thinking about it in 2019, but it was like, no, 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 no. We got
As you were launching Pickl, you're like, let's
yeah,
do
yeah,
another
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, we got a bit on at the moment. So BonBird was a pipe dream for a while, and it takes us about a year to really develop the brands that we create, both from a product side and a brand side and a positioning side. And then it probably takes us another couple of years to refine and define that as they're operational, because we don't assume that we can launch a brand into the market and it be what we say it is. There also has to be this application of what the public thinks your brand is, and it shapes around this and it develops its own persona. So BonBird again was, okay, cool, we're good at fresh fast food, we're good at frying chicken. Well, we think there's this opportunity, especially in a QSR segment. If you take Pickl as fast casual, this kind of market here, this QSR market for BonBird, we think there's an opportunity there, but we're going to stand behind what we believe in, and it's going to be fresh fast food. That chicken is going to be hormone free, antibiotic free, and it's going to be fresh. We're not going to use frozen, and every market we're in, we stand by this as well. So in Pakistan, the chicken is fresh, hormone free, antibiotic free. In Oman and Qatar, in every market, we make sure that our values align with our franchisees as well. When we design our stores, we have a space for the delivery riders to come and chill. they get water, they have AC, they can hang out, they're the extension of our customers. And we always make sure that that rolled out across the region. So BonBird was just another opportunity that we saw in the market for a fresh fast food QSR offering.
And is that sort of organically, I guess, where Yolk Brands as a brand came from? Is that you were just had another restaurant, or did you always think of having Yolk Brands as the centerpiece or the umbrella, I suppose, under which all these concepts would sit?
Exactly that, yeah. And when we look at yolks, it's that embryo to life. It's
I
the
mean,
creation.
is that where the name? I mean, obviously, it's an egg. I got that, but is that where the idea came from? Is an embryo sort of
It
to
was
life?
yeah. We are first and foremost brand creators, right? And that's what we enjoy doing. Um, I think as a group we can do four. So we have three today. We have fast casual burgers. We have QSR chicken. We have coffee, which we're working on now. And I think there's space for a fourth in the coming few years.
Uh, any chance you'll tell us what that fourth concept might be?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. We're working on pizza. We're working on developing the pizza side of the business. Um, we know our lane. We know our lane is that fast casual QSR. I'm under no delusions that I can go and open a Japanese izakaya today, but we're good, and the team's really good at getting a fresh, fast, proposition from supply chain, and then nurturing our teams and training our teams in QSR, in fast casual, that we can always offer those epic experiences to our guests.
I mean, you mentioned before when you were looking at different concepts, how saturated the market is, and also you've talked a lot, I think rightfully so, about the risk of being in the restaurant and the F&B space. How many businesses don't go anywhere or fail. What do you think it is then about the businesses that you've launched that makes them stand? Obviously, you have your fresh commitment, and there's like a fun brand element, and your passion I think certainly comes through. But how do you stand out in such a saturated market? I mean, pizza again, as an outsider looking in, I would say that seems pretty saturated too, right?
I think I think what we've discovered over the years is people over product. We can go sit in a test kitchen and develop the best pizza you've ever had, and we can go and get great interiors and great logos pre-brand. I believe in logos, not branding. Branding is a different thing, but it's just people. It is just people, and we had a graduation last Friday for our legends that went from legends to shift managers.
Is that not a shift legend? There's no.
No, they're shift managers, and when you join Yolk Brands today, I don't care who you are, you're doing 2 weeks in the kitchen. You know, our finance director Adam just went and had to do 2 weeks in the kitchen when he joined, I think 6 months back. So everyone does 2 weeks in the kitchen. Everyone does a week refresher in the kitchen, because without those legends on the ground, then we're nothing, right? So we truly believe in people, and we have Yolk University now, where when you do join as a legend, you have a 12-week training program, whichever brand you're joining, and it's got key milestones and exams along the way, and then you're a certified legend, and you become a chicken ninja in that, and you become like a beef expert, and you get these different badges as you go through.
So Chicken Ninja is one of the badges.
Chicken ninja is
Yeah.
one of the badges, right?
Great.
And you get a proper handbook as well, and then you get a certificate when you complete this. And then the next step is to become a PIC, a shift manager, who can run a shift in the restaurants. And that's another training program. But when they complete that training program, and I tell you what, that exam is hard. That exam starts 100 questions. It's a 95% pass rate on it. So it's I'll send it to you, and we'll get you on the exam.
Thanks. Maybe this is my opportunity to just change careers.
We'll get
become
you
a
in the
legend,
kitchen, yeah.
Get in the kitchen for a couple of weeks.
And then when you pass, we do graduation. We have graduation, and it's so cool. It's really, really cool. We've got another one coming up next Friday. We had a batch going through this summer of the university.
Well, good luck to the future graduates, I suppose.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about one of your other experiences. I think correct me if I'm wrong, when you first came to Dubai full time, I think you worked for a while as head of strategy at 1762
Correct,
and
yeah.
Appetite. And And then you went on, I think, to acquire them in
I did.
2023, and then sell them this year, right?
January, yeah,
In
yeah, yeah.
January. I'm just curious about that from a personal perspective, because it's interesting to me to see or think about the idea of you coming in as an employee, then as an owner, then eventually selling it. Sort of, was that like a full circle moment to you? Do you feel, is that some way of almost like tracking like your success in the sense that I used to work here, then I owned it, then I was able to sell it? What do you, I guess, think about it from your own perspective?
I think it was an honor. I never, I guess I never look at myself as an owner. I always treat
Even though
myself
you own
as,
multiple
yeah, yeah.
brands,
I always
sure.
treat myself as kind of like an employee to the company in many ways. And to be able to work for 1762, one of the pioneers, right? Back in the day,
Oh, I love that brand.
absolutely amazing, right? And to be able to kind of train under that brand and the opportunities that afforded me was amazing. Um, to then be able to acquire it was an honor, and it was amazing because I was going back, and there were so many familiar faces that used to work with the company. It was like you used to go back in, it was kind of like bringing the family back together again. Um, so no, not overwhelming. It was an honor. It really was.
Um, I know you don't get stressed, as we've, you
Stressing me out.
know. But whenever you feel pressured or overwhelmed, what do you do to deal with that? How do you unwind?
So, I mean, believe it or not, cooking.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just can't get enough, I
Just
suppose.
love
You know?
cooking. So, no, man, reading. I'm an avid reader. I've always got like 2 or 3 books on the go at any moment. Cooking, definitely. I love cooking.
What do you cook?
Everything, everything. I go through phases. I have to like perfect one thing, and then I can move on to the next one. So
What's your
I'm
current phase?
I'm in a pasta phase at the moment. I'm obsessing over pasta.
Is that going to be part of the pizza experience as well?
I don't think so, no. But like, I think my obsession with pizza needs to kick in soon. Um, but yeah, just cooking, reading. Um, I don't get time to surf much anymore, but love surfing. Love being in the water.
About the Japanese izakaya, is that something you'd ever bring back? Like, yeah, obviously you've looked at
Oh,
concepts are all scalable right now, right? But maybe like as a first love, like,
I think one day as a passion project, but definitely not in the next 5 years. We've got so much on our plate already, and we got these beautiful brands that are rolling out now across the world, which we're so proud of. We're so proud of that, and we're so proud that we were born here. That I always believe in the power of distraction, and I feel that would be a distraction right now. Whereas we're blessed for what we have, and we want to continue to invest and grow in those brands.
so I guess speaking then in of those brands in the next few years. So what you mentioned, I guess pizza as maybe the next target, but so how do you imagine those next 5, 10 years going for Yolk Brands and for yourself?
The next 5 years, we're targeting 500 stores, restaurants, sorry, globally. Um, that in itself is a mammoth task, you know? Personally, I want to keep growing the company and investing in the people. Nothing gives me a greater pleasure than to see people at graduation, to see people go up the ranks, and see people flourish in the company. So I think the empire building across the world, putting our flag in each country from Dubai is great. But I think investing in people is, I think that's where the magic is for me.
How did you feel about your announcement with the UK? Obviously, coming from Dorset yourself, did that feel again like some sort of
Bit of a homecoming.
yeah homecoming? Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose validation. Although you said yourself that maybe you don't think of yourself as an owner or someone as a I don't know head of an empire, shall we say?
I
Not
think,
yet.
yeah, the UK is quite special. But every market is special in its own way as well. And I guess what I've really enjoyed about each market is becoming friends with our partners there. Um, for the UK, that one is special. We currently got, I think, 6 locations in final stages in London, and I think that's going to be quite cool. I will get excited. I will get excited on the day of opening. And that day is still the day that I put my apron on and get back in the kitchen and go and get my hands dirty with the opening team.
Do you always do that at
Every market, yeah, yeah. I love doing that. I love doing that.
What's your personal favorite meal?
In the brands or like
No, just for yourself.
for my personal favorite meal?
Yeah, if you had to pick one meal, this is the one.
This is a hard question. That's the hardest.
This is the hardest question.
See, now the stress is coming. Okay, now I do believe in stress. No, the hard. That is challenging.
You know what? I'll let you cheat. You can do a couple.
I can do a couple. Lasagna's got to be in there.
Interesting. It used to be my favorite when I was growing up. Like
Lasagna's
every
just
birthday I had lasagna.
So good, right?
Yeah, it is.
And then
it's hard to beat. You got the cheese, you got the meat. You know what's not to like.
I'm gonna go with kusa or anab as well. This is up there. And then I'll give you a third one. Man, that's tough.
You can think about it. It's okay.
It's tough.
And then just, I guess, finally, while you're thinking about it, we'll come back to it.
I'm going with sushi.
Sushi.
I'm coming in with sushi.
Can't lose with sushi. Absolutely. Just any, I think, final words of wisdom, if you will, to anyone who wants to get into this space now, today. It was saturated when you got into it. I imagine it's no less saturated today, but any pearls of wisdom you could share?
It's harder than you ever think. It's harder than you ever think it could be. And yet so rewarding when you nail it. I think keep your head down, stay humble, and always hustle.
All right. Well, on those words, Steve, continue to keep hustling. Thank you so much for being with us on the show.
Thank you,
and
man.
Good luck in all your endeavors. It's really impressive.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.